Looks like a little butt cheek. So today I'm bringing you a cute little pumpkin pincushion DIY. This is a little different than how I normally do videos. I thought I'd try something different out. I apologize for the weird editing. I had to edit out a lot of my really loud breaths. Having kind of an asthmatic day while filming this, but I hope you enjoy. Here's what you're gonna need. Some stuffing, some elastic. This is some vintage elastic from my stash, a Sharpie, some scissors, a needle, and embroidery floss in the same color as your pumpkin or a different color. It's, you know, whatever you prefer. Orange felt or whatever pumpkin color you want, and then your leaf color, which could be green or, again, any color you feel like. And then you want a button. And you're gonna need something circular to use as your base. I have just a little lid to my my Target date snacks. So starting off with your pumpkin colored fabric, I'm using felt here. I'm just taking this circular object and I'm gonna trace around it. I'm gonna actually get closer to the last one I used. Whoops, I forgot. I added seam allowance to this, which is not necessarily necessary, but because I'm using such a small circle, I want to give myself some extra room for that extra pumpkin-y shape. So I'm kind of adding, let's say, about a ½ inch all around, except for this one corner, because apparently I do not like myself. And again, you would change this if you're doing a much bigger pumpkin. However, since we're doing this wristlet one, we're doing a pumpkin that is about, let's see if I can give you an accurate description here. It's about a 5.5 diameter pumpkin, or circle, I should say. And then you'll just cut that guy out. Alright, next what you need will be your pumpkin circle and your thread. Make sure you have a knot on your thread. I am using embroidery floss. You could use yarn for this, or double up some thread that you already have at home. But I just pulled out like an arm's length, or I guess double arm's length. Oops, I only have it doubled in once. So you're gonna start from whatever end you like. I like to put the Sharpie side on the inside so you don't see it in the finished product. Not that it's terribly visible anyway. You're gonna come pretty short from the edge here. And you're just gonna go in and you're gonna go back up. So you're just doing this kind of gathering straight stitch all around the pumpkin. You don't want to get too close to the edge because felt is just matted up fabric and it will deteriorate easily at the edges. So you don't want to accidentally pull your thread through the edge and lose that stitch. So now I'm going to actually, now that we're towards the end here, I'm going to do that. I'm going to come over here and pull in. Now we are going to get ready for stuffing. I'm just going to pull on this guy. Get him kind of ready. You can see what he's starting to do shape-wise. We're going to start putting some stuffing in. You can fill this with fabric scraps as well. I've heard even steel wool works really nicely for a pincushion because it will sharpen your pins. I'm not an expert, nor do I know if that's true, but that's what I've been told by more seasoned seamstresses and sewists. And then what you're gonna do next, I do kind of some securing stitches. And how I do that is I have my needle here. I'm just gonna go through the opposite side, right? And pull back up. I'm gonna go through this side again too. You'll see what happens. So that pulls that side together. And then I go across, do the same thing. Careful not to accidentally stab yourself with the eye of the needle. It does get kind of sharp when you're pushing through some dense fabric. I'm going to do that one more time on this side. This just really closes it up nicely. Okay, now what you can do is you can tie it off, but don't cut off your needle yet. Just tie it off. So I'm just going to pick through some of that felt again and some more of that embroidery floss. I've got a loop here and I just kind of go through my loop. make another loop. And I do it again. So it's kind of hard to see in this angle, I'm sorry, but I've got a loop and a loop. And I'm gonna go through that loop again. Okay, now that we have that tied off and we're not worried about the thread moving around too much, we can make the segments of our pumpkin. I'm gonna go through the bottom here and go to whatever we think the middle is. And pull that through. Now that we have our thread through the top, we're essentially going to pull it around and pull it down and through the top again, using that access point for our pumpkin segments. Now you wanna, this is where it gets kind of fiddly, because you're gonna wanna hold it. Looks like a little butt cheek. You wanna pull it pretty tight. Do the next segment. Now you can make these as skinny or as chubby as you want for your segments. I'm gonna go right about here, I think. And you kind of have to put your finger on it pretty tightly to keep the tension of the segment. Now we've got our segments. We're not going to cut it off yet or tie it off yet because we need to make our leaf. So we're going to put these guys aside. We're going to cut off a little corner here, like I did before, for our pumpkin leaf. Now we're just going vaguely leaf shaped here. I'm going to fold it in half. So now I'm going to use that as our tip of our leaf, and this is like the stem area. We're gonna kind of cut a more rounded shape into this guy. Careful not to accidentally cut all the way through our felt. There we go, we got an adequate leaf. Grabbing our button, I'm gonna use the smaller one rather than the big one, but you can see the big one would be pretty cute too. But we're going for the smaller one. The reason I chose brown is because I wanted to simulate that brown pumpkin stem. So we're gonna pull this little leafy friend through the needle. You can do more than one leaf as well. I just like doing one leaf because I think that's cute. We pull it through our button as well, and we're just gonna stitch down all the way through the pumpkin again. And I choose a shank button exactly for this reason, because it's gonna hide all our weird stitching that we did. And we're gonna kind of look and just sew our little button on. There we go. So that's that. Now you want to probably secure this guy one more time before you do the next step. I'm gonna secure this guy so we don't worry about that button getting loose from what we're about to do next. Okay. Now that we have that secured, what I'm gonna do is get it so it's snug but it's not uncomfortable. You know, you don't want to cut off your circulation, so I like that about a snugness. I'm just gonna cut that so that it overlaps. And this part also gets a little fiddly. You can actually stitch along this in your sewing machine so that you don't have to fiddle like I'm about to. However, again, I'm lazy and I don't want to set it up. So we are going to attach this in the middle like this. So I'm going to hold this guy. We're going to go through this side here. Okay, now we're going to tie off. And now you have a pumpkin corsage or pincushion. You can also add a little face to this guy to make him even cuter, and I think that's what we're gonna do. Get that Sharpie again. You could do this with a paint pen as well. I'm just gonna be easy, do it with a little Sharpie. Now this is something you could have done with some extra pieces of felt, but it's also just easy enough to do with some Sharpies.